Alright, this is class exercise number 8, and this is for task A. I just want to clarify something. I guess my instruction was was vague because I assume a lot of you knew some graphics already, and I just kind of ran with it. But I'm using Photoshop. You're welcome to use Illustrator or Photoshop, but one of the tools that I just suggested for you. So I created this canvas. This canvas is about 11.5 wide, about 4.5 or almost 4.75 is the height with it. Zoomed in on it, gave a transparency background. When you do all this setting right here, you see how I just did file new, give it a name, just put in the numbers, your spec. I recommend a logo size of 2x4 or 4x2, something along that line. 2x2, it doesn't really matter, depending on what your logo looks like with it. I gave mine a transparency background. That's why you see a checker background like this. Now, what does this do? So why a checker background? Well, two things. One is that if I was using this for a web page and has two things, is that if I want to see the background of my background seeping through and it just blends into the background with it, I would use a transparency background. The other one I would use is a vector. So vector logos are really good. I prefer a vector logo, so it's a lot sharper image with it. It doesn't get distorted. So two things why you want to use that. Now, the first thing you want to save as is the first format. So I call the source file. Do file save as for me, and I've already saved this already with it. So I created my folder. I created a folder called toilet paper. And underneath the toilet paper, I created a subdirectory called PSD. And inside that subdirectory, I gave it a name, toilet paper. Do a pull down, select your PSD. All right. So this is your PSD. That's the first format I like for you to save it as. All right. The second format I need for you to save it as is file, save as, and come out to the parent directory to the same level of the PSD, create another subdirectory, call that EPS. This is the vector EPS. This is the vector version for Photoshop with it. Now I want you to go inside of that EPS, and do a pull down on that and find EPS for Photoshop right here. You see this? Photoshop EPS, that's the one right there. So Photoshop EPS, click on it, save that. It's fine, keep the default, click OK. Now, the third format I need for you to save this as, file, save as, step outside of the parent directory of your name of your logo. The third format I need for you to save it as is called the SVG. This is the vector format for the web that you can actually use it with it. So here's your SVG. All right. So if you go inside that and do a pull down on this, can you find? No, hang on. This is not what I want. You create that directory. So here's what you need to do. You're going to do file, export. Okay. You see this right here? All right. See this export? And you want to come down here to export as. You see this? Export as. And then you're going to come up and you're going to open up this directory. Here's what it looks like, this dialog box here. It's going to ask you as a PNG. Okay, that's fine. But you're going to select SVG. You're going to do a PNG in a second. All right. So this is the SVG, all right, that you're going to put in there with it. And you're going to click export. Just leave the settings alone with it. That's all you do with it. And it's going to ask you, where do you want to put this? Go to your parent directory. You created a directory called SVG already. Go inside of that, hit save. All right. So that's the third format. All right. Now, the next format that I want you to save, if this is a transparent background, you're going to do file save as. I'm sorry, not file save as. You're going to export it. Export as PNG. Quick export as PNG. This is the one that you can actually put in your graphics in your transparent background with it. So you could go in and find your create a directory, right mouse click on it, and just do PNG. So why do I want you to create multiple subdirectories with these things with it is go inside of that directory and save this as, it's going to save as a PNG with it as well. So just to clarify with what you're looking at, okay, here's, I want to clarify something with it. Let me show you what I'm talking about with it. So I basically have 4 directories. I basically have 4 directories, and these 4 directories, the format, depending on how you use it, alright? So I like for you to say, I want you to create subdirectories for each one of these, EPS, because don't put everything in one directory. You're going to be confused. This is what this is. You don't know which, you have to look at file extension with it, so I want you to separate it out to each and individual directories with it. If it's an EPS, create an EPS directory. Put inside of that. If it's a PNG, create PNG. If it's a PSD, save it as a PSD. If it's AI, save it as an AI. If it's a SVG, save it as a... I want you to separate them out. Don't put 4 of these things in the same directory because you're not going to recognize which, I could tell you. Alright? That's why I do what I do in industry with it, because I gave it a file name extension. This is industry stuff that we do with it. Alright. Alright, so this concludes the video with it. So this is the end. I hope I clarified task A for several of you. So I'm going to upload this and I'll send this out to everybody. Alright.